should say, at risk in Texas. We get the details from correspondent Keith Peters.
The first New World screwworm outbreak in Texas in 60 years is hindering efforts to move rescued dogs and cats out of crowded animal shelters to states where they would be adopted. U.S. officials have emphasized the parasite's threat to the nation's $113 billion cattle industry, but the screwworm fly can lay eggs that hatch into flesh-eating larvae in the wounds or mucus of any mammal. Several dogs have had infestations in southern Texas and southeastern New Mexico, all but a handful of states have placed new restrictions on importing animals. Keith Peters reporting.
Longtime Stars and Stripes publisher Max Lederer Jr. has announced his retirement. After nearly 2 decades at the military newspaper, he says his philosophy differs with the Pentagon's current leadership. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. A boat accident in Nigeria leaving dozens of people dead so far.
At least 40 people have died after a boat capsized on a river in Sokoto State in northwestern Nigeria. The boat, which capsized on Thursday, was carrying workers to farmland in Godao town. A local resident, Samaila Garba, told the AP that his 13-year-old granddaughter was one of those who died in the accident. Local officials have said at least 47 people have been confirmed dead so far. I'm Karen Chamas.
The World Health Organization says Congo will receive 70,000 doses of the Ervebo vaccine. The move seen as a major boost to efforts to contain what officials are describing as the fastest Ebola outbreak in human history. It's been slow going on Wall Street. Right now, the Dow was down by 626 points. The NASDAQ up by 263. The S&P 500 down about 55. More at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are broadcasting live from our studios in Nashville, Tennessee, all around the John Fredericks Media Network. We're streaming, we're on X, we're also on the John Fredericks Media Network television app, JFMN.TV. That's live television streaming from 6 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern every day. You've got John Fredericks from 6 to 10 Eastern, Wendy Bell Live from 10 until noon, from noon to 3, Rob Carson from 3 to 5 Eastern, yours truly from 5 to 6, it's Katz and Cosby, and then it's got that daily sports show from, forget what the name is after that, but the former, I'll get that for you tomorrow. The former general manager of the Dallas Mavericks. So it's a great lineup. Well, it's time for the rundown now, which is brought to you every weekday at this time by our very good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com, located just a few miles from the airport, right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So here we go. Here's the rundown for Thursday, August 20th, 2026. Number 1, Eric Swalwell had his home raided by the FBI. Today, he's at the San Francisco airport, and they stopped and they took some of his cell phone and other things. They had search warrants for it. Little Chinese fang spying going on there, right? Number 2, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says we will economically obliterate Iran. How about that? He just said that a couple hours ago. And our man Neil McCabe had a question for him. Number 3, Roger Simon, our man in Miami, will talk about the Florida primary results and some of his concerns about what's going on globally. Number 4, again, our man in Washington, Neil W. McCabe from the White House, will give us the latest, the reaction to his interview with Scott Bessent and more. Number 5, Steve Cortez, with the League of American Workers. He put a poll out with people talking about Muslims in Michigan. Yeah, the results are pretty much what you would expect. Number 6, the original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael, will join us in the second hour of the program. We'll be talking about flock cameras, toll lanes on highways, and much, much more. So there you go. That is the rundown for Thursday, August 20, 2026, brought to you by our good friends at the Glock Store, glockstore.com. Now, if you've listened to the program, when we were doing the mornings, and now we're doing here the afternoons, the early drive. The Glock store right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, it's the home of Second Amendment practitioners all across the United States of America. And that's the thing that you should be aware of, right? The United States of America has a home for Second Amendment practitioners. It's right here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's the Glock store. Now, on Saturday, September 19th, they are having an incredible event. It's called Force on Force. What is Force on Force? Well, it puts you into intense, realistic, live-action scenarios that test your marksmanship and your split-second decision-making skills. You're armed with a Glock 17T. What's a T? The T stands for training. What does it fire? It fires simunition, not ammunition, but the simunition will leave a mark where you hit someone or where you get hit. Now, you'll go through 2 different real-life scenarios, and you will get a professional performance evaluation after each session. This is how special forces, SWAT teams, tactical operators around the world train, and now it's open to the public and available at the Glock store. This will likely be the last force-on-force training this year. There are only 2 sessions available, 15 slots per session, and they will sell out soon. So, for more information, go to glockstore.com/FOF. That's glockstore.com/FOF. There you go. All right, let's talk about Scott Bessent. This is a breaking story. He has a few words to say to the Iranian regime and what the plans are. You know, President Trump said we're going to kind of have a D-Day type destruction of the economy of Iran. And here is Scott Bessent himself, the Secretary of Treasury, talking about what exactly that means.
And again, we have asymmetric information, and I'm not sure why oil has popped up on this, because this, for now, and it is at the president's discretion, if we are doing the maximum economic pressure, then that means that likely there will not be a large-scale kinetic restart. But I would emphasize that is for now. And look, we do have control of the strait. You would have seen media reports that large amounts of energy are getting out, and I think that we can continue doing that in the southern lane, and that I think oil markets are misinterpreting what this economic pressure means. The economic pressure means that we are going to all of our allies, and this is going to be the greatest coordinated economic isolation in the history of the world, and we are going to them and saying, you are either with us or against us. You want this murderous regime to end, and if you insist on doing business with them, either transferring money, buying their oil, they're doing seaborne ship transfers, then the U.S. Treasury and the U.S. government, they will put its full might and force toward enforcing against you. So it is time for our allies and the rest of the world to make a decision, and we are going to squash the economy of this murderous regime, which that will curtail their ability to project power through their proxies. It will mean that they cannot pay the military, and we have substantial inflation, both food inflation and ordinary inflation in Iran. And what we have seen, I see lots of reports that said, oh, well, this has never worked. It does work, because we have a combination. It is a 1-2 punch. We have the blockade, and we are going to have the toughest sanctions in history. And I will tell you, this will work. It worked in Venezuela once we put up the blockade. It is working in Cuba right now, and it is going to work in Iran, and we are going to collapse this regime.
Does it include China? Because that's the problem.
Well, yeah, I think it includes anybody that's dealing with them, right? We'll see. I think it's a good plan. Now, this thing is extended far beyond, I think, it was intended originally, but nonetheless. And people might think, well, the Iranian regime, they're playing rope-a-dope with President Trump. I think he knows what's going on. I think you need to look at, it's longer than people thought, but the number of American casualties has been always, even a single death is a problem, but it's been in, I think, 13 or 14, which is relatively low in kind of a situation like this. Now, at a press conference shortly after that interview that Besson had with CNBC, I think it was, our own Neil W. McCabe, our man in Washington, got this question in to Scott Besson. Let's play this clip right now.
Neil McCabe. Mr. Secretary, Target received a $1 billion refund for tariffs. What does that say about the size, besides the fact that it was done so quickly and efficiently, the refund, but what does it say about the amount of Chinese-made goods and foreign-made goods that our retailers are still selling in the United States?
Yeah, well, what it says is that the Democratic attorney generals who filed a ridiculous lawsuit against this administration wanted the money to go back to the payer of record. So that is corporate welfare. The American people had that money. And if I hear another Democratic legislator make the inane remark, the American people should get the money, the American people had the money in the U.S. Treasury, and we were forced to give it back.
By the leftist nutcases in Minnesota. We'll talk with, at the bottom of the hour, we'll talk with Neil W. McCabe. When we come back, it's our man in Miami, Roger L. Simon, the great author, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the primary election results in Florida. Back after this.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Folks, this is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many, many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We're joined now by our man in Miami, the best writer in the country, the one, the only, Roger Simon. Good morning, Roger. Good afternoon, rather.
Yes.
Good afternoon, rather.
Se dice totalmente en español aquí.
Roger, you spent a lot of time in L.A., a lot of time in Nashville. You've moved to Miami. Yesterday, there was a primary. Give us a quick rundown of the results there. There's a crazy leftist, Angie Nixon, won the Democrat Senate primary. What will become of her?
Nothing. Nothing will come of nothing. Isn't that a line from King Lear? No, she's a whack job, and everybody knows it. And every time one of these people get nominated by the Democratic Party, it's good news for the Republicans. And I think that's the consensus now. That I mean, this is a woman who got up and started screaming with a bullhorn in the middle of the state assembly. That sort of shades of Nashville. Like
really? You're familiar with that tactic.
Same kind of business. And, that's not the way to national prominence. Thank God it doesn't work, but it doesn't work. She's, first of all, she's running against Ashley Moody is already in skies. She's gonna. This is just like enough. It's just noise, and it's over. Well, I mean, but the more interesting question is: are these whack jobs going to save the Republican Party that may not deserve it in the midterms? I mean, I think in a way it's their best hope that more of these people don't win those primaries. The more they win, the better it looks. Not enough of them were winning. Several of them lost yesterday.
Yeah, good point. Roger, you also wanted to talk, you had some thoughts on what's going on globally in the world that you wanted to share with us. What's the big issue globally that's concerning you?
Unlike J.D. Vance, my big issue is Iran getting the bomb. In fact, that was one of the strangest things I've ever heard a major politician say when he said the price of oil was ultimately more of a concern than Iran getting the bomb. Does he have any idea what the bomb, first of all, it's 1944 technology. Getting it on any American city would be like? I mean, in the first ones that were done in Japan, they were like peanuts compared to what all these countries have, even Pakistan. So I mean, it's kind of scary, and the fact that that's being placed on the back burner disturbs me a little bit. And the second thing about it is that about a half an hour before I got on this Zoom call here, I was on the phone with a guy in Karmashar, Iran, which is the Kurdish area. I was on WhatsApp. I'm amazed how clear it came through. It was easy to communicate with someone inside Iran right now. And this is research for the sequel to Emmett.
Yeah, the great book the great novel. It's going to be a trilogy, I
Yeah,
think.
well, the new one is going to be not disappointing, I don't think. I'm very excited about it. So it's going to carry this forward in a really fascinating manner. What I was really fascinated at, I'm not going to reveal this guy's name, of course, because among other things, he wrote to me on WhatsApp. I'm Israel High, which means Israel lives. That's this is he's writing that in a country that says death to America, death to Israel every second minute. So it's very interesting. I hope, I was watching Scott Bessent again, and I've been hearing that stuff for a while now about how we've got doing this economic thing. I hope it works. I don't. My fear about that is that the mullahs don't care. I mean, the ARGC. I mean, they're very greedy people, but they get financed by Russia and China and, of course, North Korea. And I don't know what Bessent has that he can do about Russia, China, and North Korea. You tell me.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
But I don't know.
Your source that you just spoke to, who's inside Iran right now, what did he tell you about what's going on? Is there any possibility of an uprising there against the regime, or the fact that they don't have any weapons is the big problem?
Well, the area I was talking to, and the area that I'm going to write about in the novel, have a lot to do with that. The whole thing with the weapons happened. There was something happened about, I guess now it's 6 months ago. The idea was to finance the Kurds and to get the Kurds weapons. The Kurds, as many of your listeners probably know, have been sort of the odd men out of the Middle East for as long as most of us have been alive. There are Kurds. There could be, if the Kurdish nation all united, it would be very big. But there's Kurds in Turkey, and of course Erdogan hates them, and Saddam, the Iraqi Kurds. People remember Saddam gassed them, and then there are Kurds in Iran, who of course second-class citizens there too. And that's the area that both the United States and Israel are hoping that they could arm those people and would start some kind of resolution. Also, Azerbaijan, which is on the border there, is close to the Kurdish regions, and they were hoping that all these people would unite, but something went wrong. I'm going to try to learn more about that. Maybe this guy can help me with that. I mean, he's about 30, and his English is as good as ours. I mean, it's kind of awesome to see that.
So yeah, it hasn't developed.
He knew precisely who I was before I talked to him. I was introduced by a third party, and he knew who I was because he was an old reader of the company I founded years ago, PJ Media.
Exactly. Well,
So he was reading PJ Media in Kurdish regions.
Wow. Yeah, it does seem to me that the initial hope that the Kurds would get armed and rise up doesn't seem to be coming to any level of fruition that's meaningful.
Well, one of the reasons, and I didn't take this guy to tell me that, is that there are about 6 or 7 political parties, all of whom naturally, like political parties, do hate each other. I mean, if you remember that fantastic movie, The Life of Brian, the guy always saying it's not the People's Republic of Bethlehem, it's the Bethlehem People's Republic. That's it's that in Kurdistan.
Yeah, and there doesn't seem to be the Shah's son, the prince, seems to be comfortable in Paris or the United States. but doesn't seem to be undertaking any level of effort to organize within Iran either.
Yeah, well, and I don't want to badmouth the guy. I mean, he's probably better than his father, but he got sort of stiff-armed by Trump, and Trump makes his judgments about people, and I think he thought that the Shah Jr. was not up to it. But yeah. Trump's approach is to work from the inside more. Trump's less of a revolutionary than people might think.
Yeah. He works with personalities, right? Who does he know? Who does he trust? Who does he like? That's a key element. Well, one guy that I know he likes is the greatest writer in the country, Roger L. Simon. Emmett is your book. It's doing well. And when are we going to see the sequel?
Very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting. It's starting to mount. The best way to a book to succeed, you always dream, is that word of mouth does it. That people say, gee, I read this great thing.
Emmett is the book, E-M-E-T. You can get it on Amazon. Roger L. Simon, the best writer in America, our man in Miami. Roger, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and this background now, it
I
doesn't look like that.
It looks great. It looks like you're on the beach, and you just might be.
Yeah.
Roger, thanks for joining us.
All right. 10 miles. Okay.
Neil W. McCabe joins us next.
Now more than ever, it's imperative to support companies that share our conservative values. That's why I can't be more excited to tell you that I've switched my family to Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive agendas of Big Mobile. Patriot Mobile's wireless service works perfectly and seamlessly as you go about your lives with exceptional nationwide coverage that uses the same towers the main carriers use. Patriot Mobile donates a portion of every dollar earned to causes you care about, to organizations that fight for religious freedom, First and Second Amendments, sanctity of life, and the needs of veterans and first responders. Patriot Mobile has plans to fit any budget, along with great discounts for our veterans and first responder heroes, as well as multi-line users. Switching is easy. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Godzilla or call their U.S.-based customer service team, 972-PATRIOT. That's 972-728-7468. Use offer code Godzilla for free activation.
Ponder this. Why would God permit evil to occur? Why does he allow bad things to happen to good people? Why doesn't he intercede when innocent people are unjustly accused? These questions sometimes cause good people to turn their face away from God and question the very existence of God. But God does exist, and he does permit evil. Why, you ask? The short answer is that God permits evil to bring about a greater good. Think about this. The greatest evil ever committed is the killing of our God, Jesus Christ, the second person of the Holy Trinity. From this great evil came the greatest good, the opening of the gates of heaven. That's right, heaven did not open until Christ shed his blood for us. We must always trust God's plan for our salvation, especially when hard times fall upon us. Pray, trust, and persevere in good times and bad. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Bad decisions limit future options. Make enough bad decisions and you will destroy your life. Listen to The Flatline with your host, Rick Hughes, every Sunday morning on the John Fredericks Radio Network. The Flatline describes a main line of resistance in your soul, built on God's Word. Join us every Sunday morning for 30 minutes of inspiration, motivation, and education, all without manipulation. That's The Flatline with Rick Hughes, heard here every Sunday at 8:30 a.m. on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined now by our man in Washington, the one, the only, Neil W. McCabe, who covers the White House for Real America's Voice. Neil, you got a question into Secretary Bessent today, just a few hours ago.
Oh, you were listening. Very good.
Oh, yeah. We played the clip, and he hit it out of the park. How did that question come about? How you were there, it was a big gaggle there, and they recognized Neil W. McCabe, and I knew the fastball was coming in hard over the plate.
Well, I don't know if you were tracking, but Target stock has doubled in like the last 6 months, right? And they've really turned that company around. And on their call with analysts, their earnings call with analysts, they said, it must have been yesterday or the day before yesterday, they said, oh, and by the way, we also received $1 billion refund from the U.S. Treasury. I was like, $1 billion refund? And so it's, what was happening with the tariffs is that a lot of these companies were actually absorbing these costs themselves. And so we were told there'd be runaway inflation because of the war in Iran, and there'd be runaway inflation because of the tariffs, and there'd be runaway inflation for whatever reason. And it turns out not to have happened. And so my question to Secretary Bessent was basically, hey, if they got $1 billion in refunds, they must be taking in a lot of goods from China.
Yes.
But he focused on the other side, which was $1 billion inside the U.S. Treasury that the Supreme Court gave away. And what's odd is when the Supreme Court rules against the Trump administration, they always say, hey, the law's the law. The Constitution's the Constitution. It doesn't matter what the effects are. We just have to follow the law. And, that's just the way it goes. And they just said, too bad. Just like with birthright citizenship. They just said, too bad. We don't care. But Bessent was great. And I thought he gave a very animated and full answer because it was something he's actually very concerned about.
Well, there's a big gaggle there of press, and there you were, Neil W. McCabe, getting to ask the big question. How did you insert yourself to the front of the line there, Neil W. McCabe?
Let's just say I made very strong eye contact with a member of his staff. Okay,
now we're talking.
Who is a friend of the family.
I get what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting there.
Someone you've worked worked with, and so have I. And so we'll just leave it at that, Michael.
Because we're connected to the right people.
Very hush-hush.
So
not
Neil,
a word to mother.
Neil, let me ask you this. How
about asking me a question I can answer, Michael? That'd be fun.
Caroline Leavitt is leaving as a press secretary. Did a great job.
Yes. Great job.
August 31st, I guess, is her last day. Our buddy, I recommended to the president that he select our friend from Breitbart, who we both worked for, the great Matt Boyle.
Another former colleague. Yes.
I know. He would be a fantastic.
From Canton, Massachusetts.
Two Massachusetts men.
And in fact, Canton and my high school was Franklin. He was Canton. We were both in the Hockomock League. And I guess a mentor of yours, Patrick Hawley, his father grew up in Franklin, Mass, and is buried at St. Mary's about maybe 100 feet from my dear father.
Well,
as it goes.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the Massachusetts connection there? Now, Neil.
Yeah.
The president hasn't really said very much about who he will select to succeed Caroline Leavitt. I think my recommendation, of course, is Matt Boyle, Washington political editor for Breitbart. Other names have been floated about. Scott Jennings, I don't think he can take the pay cut, but he would be a possibility.
Be great.
When will we find out who this is?
Probably sometime after Labor Day, because the president has a very unique process for these kinds of positions, where he basically throws a bunch of scorpions in a box, and he just let's see who climbs out, and then whoever climbs out is the press secretary. Seriously though, this administration, right? You look at the cabinet officers right before Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent came out. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins came out, and she was great. And so you have cabinet officers who can hold their own in front of the cameras and with the press. They can handle reporters. And you have, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I think he's hosted briefings twice here in the West Wing, right?
Mm-hmm.
J.D. Vance, he can certainly handle himself. In fact, I don't know why CNN or CBS allows J.D. Vance to do their Sunday shows anymore, because it's just carnage, right? He just tears them up. And it was, what was it? Martha Raddatz, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was during the campaign, Martha Raddatz said, what's the big deal? There's only a handful of apartment complexes that are controlled by a former criminal gang, right? What's the big deal, JD? So, you look at all the way up the line, and then also throughout the administration, look at Monica Crowley. Look at this all over the administration. There are people who are great on camera, who can handle reporters, and that's such an important part of the job. And I don't know if you're old enough to remember Tony Snow.
Oh yes,
for
the
a time,
great Tony Snow. Yeah,
the lamented, just such a great human being, beloved here in Washington, right? And so there's also a back office side to that job, and that's actually the care and feeding of reporters. And so, there's what you call lower press, right, where you go in and you talk to some of the junior press secretaries, and you ask them just basic questions about what's going to, the motorcade this or the helicopter that, or press release this or press release that, what's going on in the Rose Garden, and so there's a lot of those kinds of questions and care and feeding, and that's her team. So she's running a team of maybe 15 or 20 people who are handling different areas of the government. And so Caroline Leavitt was obviously great at the podium, but she was also great running the team in the White House press office. So that's the other side of the job that no one sees, but frankly is more important than whether or not somebody can perform at the podium.
Yeah. Now that is a very, very demanding job, and she now has 2 children. Usually, press secretaries, a couple years, a year and a half, 2 years, it's kind of standard. By the end of that time, I think they're pretty much physically exhausted. And I think that probably has something to do with it. You mentioned a couple of people on the staff.
I'll say this. There's a lot of jobs, right? You either leave too early or too late.
Yeah.
And so it's tough to time.
Yeah, exactly right. You mentioned his strong cabinet, the president's strong cabinet. We know they're all very good. Sean Duffy, Marco Rubio, Doug Burgum.
Oh, yeah, Sean Duffy. It's a great one. He was an MTV star like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. But what the other part about this is there are a couple people that we know a little bit who I think could do a great job as well. You mentioned Monica Crowley. Monica has been out in the press for a long time, had served, I think, as communications director for the Secretary of Treasury in Trump 1.0, also is now the protocol director, which is very, very high profile. She could easily handle this. She has the interesting background, as you know, we follow this, of having worked...
President Nixon.
Yeah, she worked with President Nixon. So that's a significant background. I'll tell you another person who I think could be very good in this particular role. And she's now, I think, Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations or Deputy Director. Tammy Bruce. You know, she handled press for the State Department for a while. Tammy Bruce is very good as well. So.
Excellent. She's excellent. No, and there's obviously there's a lot of people at Fox and One American News and frankly Real America's Voice who could take at the people at the John Fredericks Radio Network. I'm sure John Fredericks would do a fantastic job as the White House press secretary. That would be
the Godzilla of press secretaries, right?
That would be must watch. That would be appointment viewing.
It would be.
If John Fredericks, if he deigned to take the demotion and become the White House press secretary.
I tell you one person on Fox who won't be the White House press secretary. And that's Shannon Breen.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. The president didn't like some of her interviews.
Well, in a way, he did her a favor, right? So now when she leaves Fox, she can be an Ivy League journalism professor.
Speaking of the Ivy League and Secretary Duffy.
Speaking of the Ivy League, he says.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Did you see the clip of Secretary Duffy talking to his daughter?
No.
And basically what he said is, because we love you, we will not let you go to that godforsaken place, Harvard, where they have perfected the art of destroying the minds of young women. I'm paraphrasing.
It's sad. It's sad, Mike, okay? Because obviously you're one of their most famous alums, right? But my dear father, who went to Boston College, he told me, hey, we used to talk, before he passed away, we used to talk about maybe we would go to Harvard. He was a big fan of Harvard. And of course, I was a reporter in Cambridge for many years. Mm-hmm. And, I used to go to events at Harvard. I actually took a night course taught by 2 Boston Globe editors at Harvard. And so you have Harvard, the academic institution, and then you have Harvard, sort of this ideological, Death Star for left-wing lunatics. And then, of course, maybe you could speak to this. Was Radcliffe still functioning while you were there as its own college?
I was in the class where the first year I was there, Radcliffe was a separate institution. But my second year, my sophomore year, Harvard, Radcliffe were combined.
Right. And I think that's sad. And I'll tell you, this isn't why I called, but I'll tell you that I spent 12 months as a public affairs NCO at 18th Airborne Corps in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And while I was there, I would talk to there were women, civilians working in the public affairs office, who were on active duty in the WAC, the Women's Army Corps. And they said it was awesome because you had women with the women NCOs, sergeants, you had women officers, and, they would still work in Army jobs and do Army things. But the command structure and everything else was separate. And they just said it was 10 times better.
Neil,
and these were not male chauvinist pigs. These were actual women who actually served, who understood the deal.
Hey, stick around, Neil. When we come back, I want to get the attitude in the White House towards the midterms. Back with the great Neil W. McCabe. After this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cell's Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
The establishment has already picked their candidate. Same old playbook, same old insiders. I'm not their choice. And this election is not for sale. The stakes are too high for political games. The Socialist Democrats are a threat to America. South Carolina needs a proven conservative with a record of fighting for you. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman. I approve this message, and I'm asking for your vote.
On Golf with Jay Delsing, hear the stories of star makers like Scotty Scheffler coach Randy Smith.
Randy, thank you so much for joining us today.
I knew that there was going to be something real close to what we're looking at when he was 6.5 years old.
Wow.
I was one of the luckiest guys in the world to be standing on the right street corner when the right bus came up.
Plus the latest equipment news and tips on playing better golf. Golf with Jay Delsing, Saturday mornings, 11 Eastern, 10 Central on the John Fredericks Media Network.
Ponder this. It's amazing how many of us choose to go about our daily life without recognizing others who cross our paths each day. Take, for example, your morning walk, run, or workout at the gym. As we encounter others, often we don't make eye contact, let alone smile or greet each other. Listening to music or a podcast with our earbuds is so much more preferable than having to greet others we encounter. As a result, people are becoming more and more disconnected from each other. So let's start a human connection trend. Here's an experiment for you to try. Put your phone and earbuds away for a day while in public. Try to engage others in your path with a simple smile and a kind hello. These simple gestures will become a powerful force in the world. A smile costs nothing, but can be a powerful tool to brighten the day for others. Let your smile be a light for all to see. It's a gesture of love from the Lord. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of three who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Our guest, our man in Washington, the great Neil W. McCabe. Neil, so you're a native of the Boston area. You know, there's a college up there called Emerson College. They do a lot of polling.
Right.
They released a poll today that they claim Democrats have an 8-point generic advantage in the midterms. Is that cause for alarm on the Republican side, or is that just another Democrat-friendly poll?
I don't know how some Republican could spin that to say, great news, we're down 8 points. Hey, but the good news is we're down 8 points. It's different for Senate races because Senate races are personality driven. They're statewide, so they're not geographically specific. And a lot of times a Senate race will go on a local issue that isn't even part of what's going on in Washington, but something that's important in the state will be driving that Senate race. With the House races are tied to the President of the United States for or against, and turnout. And so when turnout drops, so if you look at the turnout drop from a presidential year to a midterm, if you're looking 12, 15, 20%, you're fine. But if the party controlling Congress or controlling the House, if they have a drop off of 30 or 40 points, that's when you're talking about, 40, 50, 60 seat, losses. That the Tea Party wave that you were right in the middle of, Mike, the Democrats had a drop off in 2010 of more than 40% from 2008. I mean, that's crazy. Now, in the next presidential cycle, 2012, right, Obama's reelected president. And so midterms are different dynamic than the presidentials, but, it's turnout. And so turnout is your base. And so is the base happy? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the base is happy. And so it typically, after a midterm, a president in his first term will pivot to re-election, where you basically take your opponent's ideas and you repackage them as your own as you go into re-election. But this is a second term and a first term hybrid. We haven't seen anything like this since Grover Cleveland, who, of course, very well. You grew up with the kid.
Very well.
But very well.
Buffalo guy.
A lot of people don't. I didn't know that. Buffalo. Interesting.
Yeah.
You know that the Babe Ruth was named after his illegitimate daughter, the candy bar?
Yeah, and they got away with it, by the way. They got away with it. He sued them, and he couldn't make the case.
Well, listen, we all have our needs. And I think even back then, people understood, hey, listen, you got to do what you got to do. But having said that, it's a very difficult situation. And so the president is sort of encouraging this rivalry between Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Vice President J.D. Vance to see who's going to be the standard bearer in 28. But it may come to pass that decision needs to be made more quickly because the president obviously has a certain shelf life. The reason why when people say they're afraid of Trump, no politician is afraid of Trump. What they're afraid of is Trump's voters, because he delivers voters. And even when he was out of office in exile, he could deliver voters. And he, in exile, could decide under indictment, right? He could decide who the next congressman or senator or governor in a race was. That's incredible. There's an old politician in Boston named Dapper O'Neill. I don't know if you remember him from your days.
Yes.
And Dapper O'Neill was James Michael Curley's driver. And then for decades, he was on the Boston City Council from Southie. And Dapper used to say, they don't count my votes, they weigh them. And that's what Trump does, right? When Trump comes into a race, right? And so people say, oh, well, it's like every day I have to read an article. Trump's finished. Trump, this time he's finished. I've been reading Trump is finished stories for 10 years. He's apparently not finished. And again, you can beat him. Like, so you say, oh, yeah, he endorsed my opponent and I won anyway. Well, guess what? You probably didn't want to spend that $5 million. You probably didn't want to face a Trump-endorsed candidate. You have preferred a clear shot. Like, nobody says, I welcome an opponent endorsed by Trump. But, that's straight politics.
Yeah, exactly.
Politicians will always take the coward's choice. And right now, the coward's choice is to go along with Trump.
Well, good point. Good point. I guess we'll see. Right now, there are a lot of doomsayers out on our side. I do think you're quite right. However, this is going to hang on turnout. It's going to hang on turnout on our side. We know the Marxists who pretend to call themselves the Democrat Socialists are highly motivated, and we know they're energized. I think between now and the election in November, our side has to motivate and get out Republican-based voters. And on that note, Neil W. McCabe, our man in Washington. Neil, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Michael. Take care.
All right. When we come back after the news, we'll hear from Steve Cortez of the League of American Workers. He just did a poll in Michigan, and, a lot of Muslims flexing political muscle in Dearborn, Michigan. But the rest of the state, not so happy with it. We'll be back with more after the news. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's healthycell.com, code GODZILLA for 20% off.
I spent my career building a business, but I couldn't stand by while Washington spent money it didn't have. So I got in the fight, and I never forgot who elected me. This election is about the America we pass on to your family and mine. We inherited freedom. Now it's our turn to defend it, to strengthen it, and to leave America stronger than we found it. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman, and I approve this message.
John Fredericks loves his radio and TV audience, but did you know how to follow the Godzilla of Truth wherever you go? Download the John Fredericks Radio Show app to listen live nationwide. For the daily chit-chat, Trucking the Truth, download the Getter app and join the morning fun on Getter Live from 6 to 10 a.m. Follow John Fredericks on Getter, Truth Social, or Twitter at JF Radio.
This is WJFN Goochland, Bonaire, Chester, and WJFB Portsmouth, part of the John Fredericks Media Network.
News this hour at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. military says the Asia-based USS George Washington aircraft carrier is now operating in the Middle East. The ship is relieving the long-deployed USS Abraham Lincoln following reports of mental health challenges and supply shortages on board. While it's been supporting the Iran war, the Pentagon and White House officials say those stories are vastly overblown. The national debt has surpassed a record $40 trillion. Experts say the growing debt already affecting Americans by raising their borrowing costs, and behind it, big defense costs right now, social programs, and interest on the national deficit. President Trump says the U.S. and Canada have a trade deal in place, even though the key terms need to be clearly defined.
Canada and the U.S. are reportedly moving closer to finalizing a trade agreement that would avert President Trump's threatened 50% tariffs. A senior Canadian official calls the emerging terms a very good deal for Canada, but cautions negotiations are not complete.
That is Ben Thomas reporting. Slow going on Wall Street at the close. The Dow down 630 points. After embroiling themselves in drama for the past several years, it appears that Prince Harry and wife Meghan are set to make a return to the UK after years of bringing a lot of drama not only to themselves, but to the entire royal family.
Britain's Prince Harry and Meghan have decided to return to the UK for an extended stay this fall. The Associated Press has learnt of their decision to return without resuming their roles as working members of the royal family. The anonymous source also said that King Charles III was alerted to the decision on Sunday and wasn't told about it during the couple's visit to the UK last month. Harry and Meghan's children are 7 and 5 and have already enrolled at British schools. They will start classes in September. Karen Chamas, London.
More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at 2 different options, debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, But guess what? They're not. That settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
The publisher of the Stars and Stripes set to retire amid differences with the Pentagon.
Longtime Stars and Stripes publisher Max D. Lederer Jr. has announced his retirement, citing differences with the direction of the Pentagon's leadership, as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's Pentagon seeks to exert editorial control. 4 months ago, the person tasked with safeguarding the publication's independence, Jacqueline Smith, was fired. Stars and Stripes is partly funded by the Pentagon and has recently been at the forefront of some of the reporting on conditions for sailors aboard the USS Abraham Lincoln and concerns for their mental health during the aircraft carrier's long deployment, concerns that President Donald Trump has downplayed. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Lederer took over in 2007 as the second full-time civilian ever in that role. He said his philosophy differs with current Pentagon leadership. Breaking news and analysis at townhall.com. A Chinese property developer will spend the rest of his life behind bars for a business plan that went bankrupt and just about took the Chinese economy down with it.
Evergrande Group was once a pillar of the country's economy, and its collapse, mired in financial mismanagement, has been a key factor in the current property crisis. Now its founder, Hui Kaiyan, has been sentenced to life in prison. Amongst his crimes, Hui was found to have fabricated statements to artificially inflate the value of assets and to have hidden company liabilities.
As the BBC's Stephen McDonald reporting from Beijing. Intense solar activity has derailed plans to rescue NASA's sinking Swift observatory. Just a month ago, Catalyst Space Technologies launched its Link spacecraft on a rescue mission. Since then, the rare solar activity has caused the Swift observatory to lose altitude more quickly than first projected. It's been observing the universe from Earth's orbit for about the past 20 years. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com.
It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. In studio, the original all-star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Good afternoon, Crom.
Greetings, kind sir.
And we are joined on our Zoom newsmaker line right now by our very good friend, fellow Tennessean, the one, the only, Steve Cortez with the League of American Workers. Good afternoon, Steve. Thank you for joining us.
Michael and Crom, great to see both of you. Appreciate it.
So you've done some polling in Michigan, and it's a very contested Senate race between this fellow El Sayad and Mike Rogers, the Republican nominee. You're looking at the impact of Muslim mass migration in Michigan. How about that for an alliteration? What did you find?
Well, what I found is that the sensible patriots of Michigan believe we've had too much Muslim mass migration to the United States. And if anybody should know, it's the people of Michigan, because that's where it's been most concentrated, and maybe with the exception of the Twin Cities in Minnesota, the place where it's had the widest impact on a state. You know, there are entire towns now like Dearborn, Michigan, which a lot of people might know as the home of Ford Motor Company originally. Dearborn, Michigan, Hamtramck, Michigan, which traditionally was a very Polish Catholic suburb of Detroit. Those places are now almost entirely Muslim. Their entire city council, the governing structure, the population, and there are massive mosques there. There are prayer calls throughout the city. In some ways, while not in force of law, but in terms of custom, these have become places where Sharia law and Sharia customs actually dominate these towns. So there has been no effort at all from this community to assimilate into the United States, no willingness to abide by or live by Western principles, the principles of Western civilization or the United States. And to go further than that, unfortunately, there is a lingering and ongoing hostility, decades-long hostility to the United States. In addition, there is certainly some evidence, it's not quite as bad as the Twin Cities situation in Minnesota, but there is some evidence of systemically scamming their new home country. And so when I poll the people of Michigan, though, don't take my word for it, when I poll the people of Michigan, they tell us that. So a few months ago, before we knew who the nominee was in this race, I polled Michigan and asked, is there too much Muslim migration versus too little into Michigan? By a 6-to-1 margin, 6-to-1, the people of Michigan said too much Muslim mass migration. That's an astounding finding because, Michael, I think the total's probably even higher than that. There's probably reluctance among certain people. They don't want to appear to be bigoted in some way, to admit that, hey, this isn't working for the United States. But that was pretty astounding to me. Among Kamala Harris voters, among people who had voted for Kamala Harris in Michigan, it was nearly 2-to-1, too much Muslim mass migration. So now that we knew the nominee, and now that we know that Abdul el-Sayed himself, of course, is a radical Muslim, has significant ties to terror organizations, has openly allied himself with people and campaigned with people like Hassan Piker, who openly hate the United States and espouse a Marxist jihadi alliance of the left and Islamists in this country. I polled again and asked sort of a more clinical question of, hey, here's what I did. I asked Christian migration first, and to be scientific about it, and then Muslim migration to Michigan. And I said, has Christian migration been good? Has it made Michigan better off or worse off? Only 3% said worse off. That's it. Only 3% said that the state is worse off, negligible, for Christian migration. 36% said it's worse off for Muslim migration too. So my point is, this is a significant issue. We can't be afraid of the fact that it's controversial. I don't think we can't be afraid of talking openly about, hey, we need to have important filters about who migrates into our country, who's going to make good Americans, who believes in our values, our Constitution, who will espouse and promote Western civilization. The people of Michigan are telling us that in their experience, in a state that has a lot of Muslim migration, that it is not working well for them. That community is now trying to get its first ever United States senator, and I think this is a very legitimate issue for outside groups like mine to dive into and to hopefully speak on behalf of the good patriots of Michigan, that this is one of the main reasons, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons that Abdul el-Sayed is totally unfit to be a United States senator.
Steve, Carmichael has a question for you.
Hey, Steve, question. What percentage of the Michigan population, the voter population, or maybe even registered voters would be a better question, are Muslim?
Yeah, I should know that, Crom. I don't off the top of my head. I believe it's less than 5, but near there. I think it's around 4% in total. So yeah, it's not a huge percentage. However, where they are concentrated, right? Particularly again in those suburbs of Detroit, they have enormous power. And I will also tell you this: he is not the nominee, though, without these votes. That I do know, just off of the top of my head, because he won by such a razor-thin margin. And in Dearborn and Hamtramck and the other nearby Islamic communities, he was literally getting 94, 96% of the vote with extremely high turnout. So he does not win the race without their support. So, no, in terms of numbers, I don't think it's that alarming yet. However, the way mass migration works right now, the way chain migration works into the United States, legal migration to this country, we know that at present it's not horrible, but the trend is not friendly, right? The trend is not your friend. Things can get worse in very quick order.
And the Muslim population votes. It's probably the most loyal voting bloc for the Democrat Party of any a single identity, is it not?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why the Democrat Party nationally has been such a proponent of bringing so many Muslims into the United States, whether from Afghanistan or from more Iraq and Yemen, which is where most of the where most of the Michigan ones come from, or in the case of Lewiston, Maine, where I just was filming a documentary, or in the Twin Cities of Minnesota from Somalia. But the Democrat Party unfortunately can rely on these folks as voters, and because of that, they don't care about assimilation into the United States. They don't care what it does to our culture, our economy. They simply want those votes. So they're more than happy to wave in what you have accurately described as a very loyal voting bloc.
So, Steve, I have this tipping point theory that when the population of a country, a constitutional republic, a democracy, constitutional monarchy reaches 5% Muslim, it starts to destroy itself because the Muslims are very good at incrementally gaining power and pushing everyone towards their direction. Now, at the United States overall, it's about 1.5%. But in Michigan, it would seem to me, if it's about 4% in Michigan, all of this consternation in Michigan would seem to me to be an indication that my tipping point theory has some practicality at the state level in the United States as well.
No, I think you're exactly correct because, again, these localities are totally controlled by Muslims, many of whom are foreign-born, and they're at least on the cusp, perhaps, of electing a United States senator. And by the way, in this poll I took, just so you know that I'm not cooking the books, I wasn't just getting a MAGA sample. I have El Sayed leading right now by 4. Now, I think Rogers is going to win the race. I think once we properly expose and define who El Sayed is, because most Michigan folks don't know who he is yet, they're not even paying that much attention to the election yet. So I believe we're going to win that race. However, it's not going to be easy to beat him. Okay, so just so you know, I did not cook the books, put my thumb on the scale in terms of this polling. I have him up by 4 right now, and that scares me. And to your point, you don't have to have 51% to exert effective majority control. If you have a highly organized, very unified, galvanized group like Muslims tend to be wherever they migrate in the world. And by the way, when I talk about the world, just look at Europe. And folks who travel know this, or even just folks who study a lot about what's going on in Europe, some of the greatest treasures of Western civilization, in the cradle of Western civilization in Europe, they have become totally Islamified. And some of the worst examples are in the UK, but it's really happening all over the continent as well. Let's not let that happen to the United States.
Yeah.
Let's learn from the lessons of Europe, because we generally still believe in Western civilization, unlike the Europeans, unfortunately.
Yeah, good point.
And mass immigration of Islam into this country is not consistent with our values. And there's nothing bigoted about saying that, by the way. I'm talking about a system of belief. There's nothing bigoted with saying that system of belief is wrong, right? We're certainly willing to say that about Nazis, right? We're going to say your system of belief is totally wrong. It's antithetical to our values. Well, I believe Islam, when it's legitimately practiced, is antithetical to American values. And one objection I get from folks is...
we would all agree with you on that, Steve Cortez. Steve Cortez, our very good friend, League of American Workers, a very stunning and important poll. Come back again, if you would, please. And by the way, 5 or 6 years here into Tennessee, you still love it, don't you?
Amen, sure do.
All right, Steve Cortez, thanks for joining us. We'll have more with Crom Carmichael after we get back.
Hey folks, Al Green here for SatPhone. When you're on the go, you want to know you're connected. If it's a family vacation or an off-the-grid escape to a remote destination, having reliable communication helps you feel safe and secure. You can't afford to find yourself in a dead zone. That's why you need SatPhone. SatPhones are reliable, durable, and give you global coverage. If you can get outside, you can get in touch. It's that simple. Make calls from your SatPhone to any regular cell phone in the United States. The phones are $1,500 value, but you can get yours free. Just sign up for a 15-month plan, $94.95 a month. Get 150 minutes monthly that roll to the next month. Go 3 months without using them, that's fine. Yes, 3 months, 450 minutes, all yours. Visit SAT123.com or call 855-980-5830. SAT123.com, 855-980-5830. Get surety and security with your SatPhone. Call now.
Washington is wasting $500 million every year on a federal supervision system that doesn't work. Probation officers are overwhelmed. Resources are going to people who pose zero threat, while actual dangerous individuals slip through the cracks. The Safer Supervision Act stops the waste and refocuses every dollar on protecting families from harm. President Trump's own pollster found about 80% of Trump voters want this fixed. It's time for Congress to get this done. Stop the waste. Protect our communities. Visit safersupervision.com. Paid for by the Reform Action Fund.
The establishment has already picked their candidate. Same old playbook, same old insiders. I'm not their choice. And this election is not for sale. The stakes are too high for political games. The Socialist Democrats are a threat to America. South Carolina needs a proven conservative with a record of fighting for you. You shouldn't have to guess where your next senator stands. With me, you already know. I'm Ralph Norman. I approve this message, and I'm asking for your vote.
MyPillow's second annual mega sale is finally here. Get our patented premium MyPillows that adjust to your exact individual needs to give you the best sleep of your life.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
I guarantee they're going to be the most comfortable pillows you'll ever own. King size only $24.98, queen size only $19.98. Giza Dream bed sheets, the best sheets in history, as low as $29.98. Lux Pierce 6-piece towel sets, towels that actually dry you. What a concept. Now only $39.98. And our made in the USA mattresses and mattress toppers as low as $99.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. Plus, free shipping options available when you order today. So don't delay, order now.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee, markpody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
markpody.com.
Paid for by the campaign to elect Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Crom, how do you like the afternoons? Because we've been doing mornings for a long time.
Well, it's a little different.
It's different.
It really is. It I haven't reorganized my day, because used to be it was first thing in the morning.
Boom.
Now it
was really the first thing in the morning when we were at the old station.
Oh yeah,
from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah, but even then, I would get up, get a cup of coffee, read a few things, and come to the radio show.
But now we're part of the beginning of the second news cycle of the day.
Yeah,
which starts at noon.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and so for instance, we covered the Scott Bessent press conference that was held about 11:30 today.
Okay.
A couple of notes on this show where you can watch it. Well, you can listen to it on terrestrial radio, 760 AM WENO in Nashville, and 20 of the John Fredericks radio stations across the country in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Atlanta, Virginia, West Virginia. And, of course, you can stream online, and you can watch this on X. Go to Michael P. Leahy, see me live in living color. Guess what? The John Fredericks Media Network now has a television app.
Oh.
Live television.
Wow.
From Eastern Time, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day.
Oh, it's have to comb my hair.
That's a lot
my
of
hair,
effort.
not
your single hair.
No plural there.
But the content, you go to jfmn.tv.
Okay.
And you just download the app. I did it on my iPhone the other day, and you can just bip, and then you can see us all. That's a lot of live content, and it's really good.
Okay.
6 a.m. to 10 a.m.
Oh, wow.
John Fredericks.
Okay. Good.
10 to noon. Yeah, I'm talking Eastern time now.
Sure.
Wendy Bell.
Okay.
Rob Carson from noon to 3.
Okay.
And from 3 to 5, yours truly.
Right.
Eastern, followed by Katz and Cosby.
Okay, so you can listen or watch.
Yeah, listen or watch.
There you go.
And there you go.
Okay.
And by the way, if you're out there and you want to call in, our number is 615-814-2848, 615-814-2848. Just tell Patrick, we'll make it simple. Your name and your state of residence. Now, we want you to kind of be on point with what we're talking about.
Be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We'll see. 615-814-2848. Now, you've got something you want to talk about.
Well, there's a great story about the Success Academy school system in New York City. They operate a number of schools. They have 22,000 students.
It's a charter school.
Just a charter, and it's one system. And they have tremendous results. And here's some interesting data. The average, the state and city give the Success Academy $17,000 a year per child to educate the students. That's K through 12. The government-run schools in New York City spend $34,000, so they spend literally twice as much as the Success Academies. The government-run schools of New York City, less than 50% of the students in the school can pass the standardized tests. 93% of the kids in the Success Academy pass the standardized tests. And in this new school that they're opening, they project that 91% of the incoming students will be Black, Hispanic, or multiracial, and that and the close to that percentage will be on free lunch. So it shows you that the population of the kids that come into Success Academy are not the elites of the city; they're the poorer kids of the city. And Success Academy is doing a great job of educating them. And in fact, they said over the last few years, every single graduate of Success Academy has gone on to a 4-year college.
Really?
Yeah, every single graduate. Yeah. Now here's a couple of other things, because we hear the government-run, we hear the teachers' unions people claim we always need more money. We always need more money because we need to have smaller class sizes. Smaller class sizes are the only way for a child to get a quality education. Well, Success Academy believes exactly the opposite, and in fact has exactly the opposite. Their kindergartens have 32 kids. Their middle school has 36 kids, and their high schools average 40 kids per class. And yet they have great results. Now listen to this. I'm just going to quote from this article in the Wall Street Journal. Our culture is a culture of expectations. Our middle schoolers take 4 years of biology, chemistry, and physics. When they get to high school, they take AP Calc, AP Bio, AP Chemistry, AP Physics. All of them. 100% of them. Now, can you imagine that culture of success operating in a government-run school? If it does, it is a complete and total rarity that is tied 100% to the principal of the school, not the system. And if one particular school stands out, generally the other principals are mad at him, and the school board is mad at them if they stand out. And so in this app they have 22,000 kids, and so I just thought it was an interesting story. Blumenthal gave $100 million to help build their new school in the Bronx. It is 6 stories tall. It costs $245 million, and there will be 2,400 students, K through 12, in the Bronx, which is one of the toughest areas of New York. And they ended up, some kids were transferring in from other schools. They had 600 open spaces. They had 3,500 applicants, and so only 600 got it by lottery. So it wasn't like they got to take the 600 best. They do it by lottery. And there's a documentary called Waiting for Superman. It's been
Waiting for Superman.
Waiting
I've
for
heard
Superman.
that before.
It's 15 to 20 years old.
Okay.
The guy that created the documentary created it for the purpose of showing that charter schools were bad. That was what his goal was when he started. But he's an honest person. And after he did all of his research, he said, you know what, I have it exactly backwards. And the last scene of Waiting for Superman makes you cry. It's thousands of parents and kids sitting in a gymnasium hoping that their number pops up out of a popcorn ball to win a lottery to get a space in one of these Success Academies. And because it was 15 to 20 years ago, there were only like 4 or 5 schools. And so your chances of getting in one were like 1 in 50.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're 1 in 6, which is an improvement, but it still isn't where it needs to be. And so, congratulations and good for Michael Blumenthal. He does a lot of things I don't agree with.
But this is a good
thing. But this is really great.
So,
$100 million.
I think there are over 1 million public school kids in New York City, I think, K-12, somewhere in that range. So 22,000 of them can go to this charter school.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It's one of the, it would be, if it were a school district by itself, it'd be one of the largest school districts in the country.
What's interesting about it, I did a little research on their teaching methodology for reading, right? Because I'm a big fan of the direct instruction methodology. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Very successful, but public schools don't implement it. They use something called think literacy.
Yeah.
Okay, which is similar. It's similar to direct instruction. They reject what's called this whole language approach, right? Which is like throw words up on and maybe you'll get it by osmosis.
Right.
Which has destroyed reading in public schools.
Yeah.
It's been, 50 years or so around. But there's a little difference. They have a tightly structured school environment, high expectations.
Yes.
Their aim is to produce strong readers. The direct instruction's a little more explicit, a little bit more control. So,
but I mean, when you listen to this thing they're taking, these are in high school. Every single student takes AP Calc, AP Biology, AP Chemistry, and AP Physics.
That is pretty darn good.
And these are for low-income kids. This shows you that. Now, this, by the way, is when the left says no one can succeed unless they're white privilege. Success Academy is proving that is a false notion, and it's actually defeatist that has no end goal. It really has there's no goodness that comes out of the way the left thinks about the opportunity for lower income kids.
Not one bit.
Yeah.
We'll have more with Crom Carmichael, the original All-Star panelist, building the edifice of logic brick by brick. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. The website, TennesseeStar.com. Back after this.
This is Crom Carmichael, CEO of Solti. We got a wonderful email from one of our customers up east named Joe, and here's what he had to say. I started taking Solti almost out of desperation with little hope because I was resigned to the futility that although I was up to taking 2 statins a day, high cholesterol was something I just had to learn to live with. In fact, when I turned 60, after taking a stress cardio test, my doctor called me on a Saturday, which of course is never a good sign, and told me that I was clogged more than 95% of the people my age. I had an angioplasty and a stent procedure done at that time. Today, my stubborn triglycerides are only 1/3 of what they had been before starting taking Solti. My prescription statin dosage has shrunk from 60 milligrams to only 10 milligrams a day. My primary care doctor that I have had for many years still can't believe the results, and neither can I. Thank you, Solti, for providing such a wonderful product. And folks, I want to invite you to take care of your heart also by going to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. Use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% discount on your initial shipment. Thanks so much.
And they're off. This summer, the Thunder returns to Colonial Downs Racetrack. Live thoroughbred racing June 25th through September 7th. Feel the excitement. Hear the roar of the crowd. Experience Virginia's premier horse racing destination every Thursday through Sunday all summer long. Bring the whole family for Family Fun Sundays, packed with activities for all ages. Parking? Free. General admission? Free. Memories? Priceless. Make Colonial Downs Racetrack your new summer fun time tradition. Get tickets and race day info now at colonialdowns.com.
Get the news in the morning from your Godzilla of truth. Then brace yourself from 10 to noon. Hear the reaction from Wendy Bell Live.
It's not going to be a conspiracy theory. It's going to end up being a conspiracy fact.
Because we're freaking lied to about everything.
She's America's anchor mom.
He's not just talking out of his butt.
Catch the Truth Bomb explosion starting August 17th.
Wendy Bell Live.
10 to noon
On the John Fredericks Media Network.
The Trump administration has brought positive changes when it comes to fixing our broken healthcare system. If we really want to make America healthy again, well, that starts at home. And that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You see and hear from the Wellness Company doctors all the time, and you know their products are the gold standard for keeping you and your family safe and healthy, giving you the opportunity to make sure you're prepared for whatever happens with their prescription medical kits. Additionally, the Wellness Company offers a variety of products, from parasite cleanses to methylene blue to weight loss and so much more. Make America healthy again starts at home. Do your part and protect the health of you and your family. Live a healthier, longer, and more satisfying life. Go to twc.health/Godzilla and order. That's twc.health/Godzilla. Use promo code Godzilla to save 10% today.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Honesty, integrity, help Tennessee. MarkPody.com.
The values that have made Tennessee strong, faith, personal responsibility, freedom, and respect for one another, are rooted in timeless godly principles. Those values are worth protecting, and I'm going to continue fighting to preserve them for our children and grandchildren. I'm Mark Pody, and I'd be honored to earn your vote again.
MarkPody.com.
Paid for by the campaign trail like Mark Pody.
Candace Graham, Treasurer.
I'm Scott Desjardins, and I approve this message.
We will make America great again.
President Donald Trump has given his complete and total endorsement to Congressman Scott Desjardins, saying he fights for our military, veterans, law enforcement, and the Second Amendment.
I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump. I know together we've got to control inflation, secure our borders, and strengthen our military.
Scott Desjardins, representing the people of the 4th Congressional District.
With your support, we will make America great again. Paid for by friends of Scott Desjardins.
Johnny Garrett's not some out-of-touch D.C. politician. Johnny Garrett's a Tennessean, a Christian conservative, and a proud father of 3 who's sick of the far left ruining our country with their radical policies. Conservative Johnny Garrett is proudly pro-life, pro-Trump to his core, and will always put America first. In Congress, Garrett will fight to lower taxes, cut government waste, and will always back the blue and support law and order. Garrett's fought for us in Nashville, and that's what he'll do in Congress. No to biological boys playing girl sports. No to communist China buying our farmland. And no to criminal illegals invading our state. Because with Johnny Garrett, what you see is what you get. It's time to bring more Tennessee to D.C. Send Trump conservative Johnny Garrett to Congress.
I'm Johnny Garrett, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Johnny Garrett for Congress.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
We are joined by Crom Carmichael, the original All-Star panelist. Crom, you know, in the afternoon, we are starting a new news cycle. And to illustrate that, here's a breaking story a couple hours ago. From Fox News, the FBI arrests a woman who has allegedly plotted an ISIS-linked attack on the New York State Capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that just broke.
Yes.
Basically, a New York woman plotted to bomb the New York State Capitol and kill state senators inside, repeatedly surveilling the building and buying materials for an explosive device before the FBI arrested her, according to a criminal complaint reviewed by Fox News Digital on Thursday. Jessica Bowie, age 35 of Albany, is charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS. The FBI says she pledged allegiance to the terror group, discussed disguising a bomb in a DoorDash delivery bag, and wanted to carry out the attack when state senators were meeting. She converted to Islam about 5 years ago and began going by the name Aisha Saif. The affidavit also said that on May 28th, 2026, Bowie, using the username Nusha Bashraf, I guess that's right, on a social media platform, told another user in Arabic, "Praise be to Allah for September 11th." We're going to see more of this, Crum.
Yes, we will. It's unfortunate, but...
Buckle up.
But yes, we will, yeah.
And go to the Glock store.
There you go.
Load up on Glocks. Get trained on it.
Yep.
So there you go. All right. So I want to shift gears here.
Yes.
I'm going to do a little bit of a quiz. I think you know the answers to this.
Okay.
How many years did it take the United States of America to build up $1 trillion in debt?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think we crossed that $1 trillion mark at around, what, 1980?
1980. You are correct, sir.
Ding, ding, ding,
ding, ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
All right.
You need a little sound effect
Okay.
for that. So that was a long time. That would have been the country was really formed, 1789.
Yeah, you could say essentially 200 years.
Essentially 191 years. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, the total federal spending when JFK took office for a year was $100 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's over 7.5.
So let
trillion.
me get to the next question.
Yes.
Which is, as you know, I was an early organizer of the Tea Party movement.
Yes.
In 2009, and we had three core values: fiscal responsibility, free markets, and constitutionally limited government.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the national debt was in 2009 when we started the Tea Party movement?
I'm going to guess about 10.
You are so on point today.
Oh, all right. Okay.
It was exactly 10.
10 trillion. Okay. All right.
10 trillion.
And that is what caused the Tea Party.
Yes.
In part was that it exploded to 10 trillion from like 3 trillion in the course of a decade.
Yeah, and so that was extraordinarily alarming. Yeah. Now that was 17 years ago.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you know the answer to this question.
Yes, I do know this one for sure.
What is the current debt of the United States of America?
Just past 40 trillion.
It's quadrupled.
Yeah.
In the 17 years since we started the Tea Party movement.
Right.
That is not what you would call success.
No. So Bernie Sanders should be very proud of himself. I mean, I'm very serious, because Bernie Sanders has advocated for the entire time he's been in Congress for a bigger, more expensive government, and he has gotten it.
He's gotten it.
And if people are happy with that, then they ought to vote socialist. And if people think that our debt can go from 40 trillion to 100 trillion and that'll be good for them, then they ought to vote socialist. That'd be wrong. But if they think it's bad, then they need to vote the opposite. And you know, it's very interesting, because I asked you during the break, because we did know about the 40 trillion. The other parts that you've asked me, I kind of made educated guesses and was right.
Spot on.
Yeah. But the 40 trillion, I asked you to divide that by the population of the United States, and you came up with $117,000 per person.
Yeah.
So for a family of four, that's roughly $450,000 of debt.
Yeah.
And it weighs on them equally, regardless of your income. Now, this is what's very important to understand. If your gross income for a family is, say, $90,000, then you're paying the Treasury bill rate. It's affecting you. It's affecting you in indirect ways, to the extent of the amount of debt that you're having to carry, which is about $12,000. That's about how much it's affecting you. If you're making $1 million a year, it's still affecting you $12,000. The flattest tax you can possibly impose is debt. That is the flattest. And so these people who say that they claim they're progressive and they want fairness, and they want a progressive tax system. I mean, even if you have to pay 10% on your income, if you're making $100,000, that's $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
If you're making $1 million, that's $100,000. So that is, and that's not even close to what this is. This is $12,000 per family of burden.
Mm-hmm.
So your burden doesn't matter what your income is; it's that you're there. And so it is important that we try to control the debt as a share of our economy as best as we can. Now, a related topic is inflation, because a lot of economists will claim, and have for years claimed, that increasing federal debt leads to higher inflation. And I think that is partially true, but the nuance in that is that I believe that inflation is caused when the amount of federal spending is accelerating. If it is decelerating, and frankly, Trump is doing everything he can except for defense spending. He is doing everything he can to slow the rate of growth. He is attacking fraud in all of our health care programs, all of our entitlement programs. There's massive amounts of fraud that's in the hundreds of billions of dollars a year, a year. He is attacking that every way he can. He's eliminated over 300,000 federal jobs. He has cut the Federal Register, which has a tremendous cost on the regulatory burden. He's cut that by 40%, Michael, in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every other president has seen the Federal Register get bigger. The Federal Register is a book. It is the book of rules and regulations. Under Biden, it went over 106,000 pages of federal regulations. Trump has it now down to about 60,000. And he'd like to get it down to 30,000 before he leaves office.
Let me ask you this question, Crum. At this rate, our national debt increases by $1 trillion every 6 months. Now, let me ask you, how much of that $1 trillion is waste and fraud, and in a particular area? But the area that I really want to talk about is this concept that Richard Nixon brought in of the new federalism, right? Where it doesn't work if the people that in the states that receive these funds are cheaters and liars.
Right.
Well, that's what we have right now.
That's what we have now. So that's why the fraud is so great.
I agree. So here's the thing. So Nixon said, because at that time we thought, well, you know, they're a Democrat, but they're not going to be any more prone to fraud than a Republican. And so people think about this. The logic of money from federal taxpayers goes into Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes into the political hopper. And then pointy-headed bureaucrats, with the approval of Congress, say how much of that money should go back to state governments. Now, if it goes to an honest state government like Tennessee, where there's limited fraud, that's one thing. But so much of that money is going to California and Minnesota.
Well, let's identify how that fraud is done, and that is in these healthcare programs where companies are set up that do absolutely nothing, but bill Obamacare, Medicaid, or Medicare for enormous amounts of money, and they do nothing.
Yeah.
And the state approves the invoices.
Right.
And then the state only pays a portion, pays like 1/4. And then the federal government contributes maybe 3/4. And so it's a way of coining money at the state level.
That's right.
Which, by the way, anybody who says, well, nobody will cheat on this is a fool. And so here's the solution. You know, we talk about these problems, Michael. The solution in the short term is to turn the entitlements into a block grant. By the way, Tennessee has asked Washington to block grant Medicaid to Tennessee. So we get a certain amount of money for Medicaid. How we spend it to help people in Tennessee is up to us. So if we mismanage it, then it's at our cost because we don't get any more. Block granting money to the states so that every state gets the same amount per capita of population, and then you say it's up to you to take care of your poor people. There's plenty of money, but you do it yourself. That's the short-term solution.
I think the long-term solution is to get rid of the entire thing because The blue states are crooked.
Well, but the block grant stops the crookedness.
I don't think so. But we'll talk about that more when we get back.
Okay.
Ponder this. Most people want to have a good day every day. In order to do this, we must start our day with gratitude and keep an attitude of gratitude throughout the day. I offer you my recipe for having a great day and a joyful life. First, start each day being grateful that the Lord has given you another day to serve Him. Roll yourself out of bed, get on your knees, and say a morning prayer of thanksgiving. Ask the Lord to help you throughout the day to do whatever His will is for you. Next, thank God for the little things that make your day better. I thank Him immensely for my morning coffee and for my legs that allow me to take a morning walk. I pray for those who cannot walk because of age, injury, or disability. Throughout the rest of the day, I am grateful for the people God has placed in my life. I thank Him for those who love me, and I pray especially for those who do not love me. Find ways in your day to thank God continually and offer prayers for all those the good Lord has placed in your daily path. I'm Susie Kelly, and I am passionately Catholic.
Folks, this is Crime Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea. I have recently turned 77 years old. I do not take prescription drugs. I have not had to take prescription drugs, and I attribute a lot of my good health to a product that I've been taking, which is the active ingredient in Soul Tea. It's a 22% concentration of theaflavin. We did clinical trials on it 25 years ago and found that it helped lower cholesterol. We have had many hundreds of letters and emails from customers telling us how it has helped them not only manage their cholesterol, but lower their triglycerides and help them on their blood pressure. And I can't tell you how much I attribute to Soul Tea for my good health at age 77. And I encourage you to go to GodzillaHeart.com. That's GodzillaHeart.com. And use the code Godzilla at checkout, and you'll get a 50% off on your initial shipment of Soul Tea. And I promise you it will be a great help for your heart health. Thanks so much.
Wagering at its finest. Playing at the highest levels, under the highest stakes for more than a decade. This is the world Past the Wire has conquered, bringing you uncompromised thoroughbred authority and elite track data that anchors the game. But the modern wagering landscape is expanding. Every sport, every line, every prop, and every high leverage future, we decode the metrics across the entire board. From game day spreads to the explosive new frontier of prediction markets and event contracts, we give you intelligence to dominate the modern financial exchanges. Because in the end, it's a battle. You versus the house. You versus the other players. In this arena, we fight with you. We are your ultimate edge. Welcome to the Ultimate Wagering Network. Subscribe to Past the Wire TV and turn on notifications, because when the dust settles,
nobody does it better.
Saturday morning, 6 on the radio, 11 on JFMN.TV.
Congratulations to my friend Michael Patrick Leahy on 9 years of journalistic excellence. I'm Lenny McGill, owner and founder of the Glock Store here in Nashville, Tennessee, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy's Tennessee Star Network for over 5 years. When we started, he was on just one local station. Now, he's on 20 stations. His motto, find the truth and report it. And as long as he sticks to that, we'll stick to being a sponsor. And next year, Michael, let's have a party for you right here at the Glock Store.
I'm Brent Taylor, and I approve this message.
Brent Taylor has my complete and total endorsement. Those are the words of President Trump announcing his endorsement of Brent Taylor for Congress. President Trump can count on Brent Taylor to support the American First agenda, fighting inflation, cutting spending, deporting illegal immigrants, and protecting our conservative values. President Trump endorsed Brent Taylor for Congress. Now he needs your vote. Paid for by Brent Taylor for Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. This is going to be a fun one because, you know, Crom, we are followed on the John Fredericks Radio Network by John Katsimatidis. I think I got that right. And Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby.
Wow.
For an hour.
All right.
And he is basically a guy he's a billionaire. Made his money in grocery stores in New York City.
Yes,
and he's very opinionated.
I've seen him interviewed on Fox. He's a wonderful interview. Very knowledgeable.
Very.
I mean, very
The guy knows
knowledgeable.
grocery stores.
You bet he does.
And so now, Zoran Mamdani, the Ugandan Muslim who got elected mayor of New York City, has never really held a job in his life, has decided, well, he's going to have a city-run grocery store.
5
of them.
One in each borough.
What, Crom, could possibly go wrong?
He says he can build 5 grocery stores for $70 million. And so there's a story that I read this morning in Red State. And so Mamdani and his administration people, for a photo op, they took a bunch of potential vendors and partners out to the site where the first city-owned grocery store is going to be. Now, nothing has been done yet. They just identified the site.
We found the site.
Yes, and it is a piece of concrete. It looks like a sidewalk under an overpass.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Mamdani's people told all the vendors they must wear hard hats and yellow vests. Now, the danger of standing on a piece of on the ground where there's no construction going on is no different than standing on a sidewalk. But they still made them get all dressed up.
Well, because they know how to do stuff.
Because they know how to do they know how to do media, and so anyway, that was kind of funny. But what's interesting about it is this. As I read the article, there's a consultant. They're working with a consultant, and this consultant's name is Phil Grant. And so I just wanted to quote from the article what he said because it's almost laughable. It is truly almost laughable. Has
he built a lot of grocery stores? This guy, Phil Grant?
None. He's a consultant, but he's a consultant. And here's what he says here. Quote, in terms of the project, it has to be a full, transparent partnership. We also have to get the public involved. There are other things that we have to think about. Market forces, transportation, weather. So we have to ensure that whatever model the operator, like myself, selects is agile and bold and can handle whatever comes. And I'm sitting there saying,
agile and bold.
Let me say this: if a
where are my apples?
If somebody were
where's my celery?
If somebody were pitching a private equity firm and gave that argument for the private equity firm putting money in, they'd be laughed out of the room.
But they're agile and bold.
I mean, or they claim that
they're wearing hard hats.
They need to be agile and bold. And so, but here's what's interesting about we're learning more about the stores. The stores is in terms of the operating costs. The city will pay 100% of the cost to build the store, and none of that cost is associated. None of the cost of building the store is going to be depreciated. Okay, in other words, that's a sunk cost, not on the budget, which is not how anybody does anything in the private sector. Second, they'll pay no rent. Third,
that will give them a comparative advantage.
They'll pay no rent. Third, they'll pay no taxes. Fourth, they'll pay no insurance. And
what?
They'll pay no insurance.
So what happens if somebody gets injured?
The city, it's city insurance, not insurance that the entity has to cover. And the open question is whether or not the utilities that it costs to run the store will actually be costed out at the store level, or whether or not it'll be a city budget under utilities.
They've selected somebody to.
Nope, haven't selected anybody yet.
But they're going to select people to build a grocery store.
Yes, yeah, and whoever it is, I mean, the guy you're talking about who's built many grocery stores in New York City.
Yeah.
Says that told the mayor, he says, if you'll give me $70 million, I can build you 15 stores instead of 5.
Yeah.
And so whoever gets those contracts will get very wealthy from the contracts. And but then the people who are going to run the store, they have to do it under certain rules scribed by the city. And so whoever it is, because Mamdani says it'll be a private operator. It won't be a private operator. It'll be somebody who is selected who agrees to perform according to city rules. And when it fails miserably, and it will, then Mamdani can blame the operator.
Right, of course.
Not the fact that it was a city-run grocery store.
So you'll be able to go to the grocery store, and it will have the same level of efficiency that the Department of Motor Vehicle has.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, but also they're saying they're saying they're going to price all of the core products at 30% below market. And then they were asked, well, how are you going to be sure that people from New Jersey don't come in and shop at your store?
Wait, what are they going to do?
They started to begin to say, well, they're going to have an ID card. But then that kind of flies in the face because Democrats claim that you can't require ID cards for anything for low-income people.
Well, you need an ID card to buy your groceries.
Yeah.
But you don't need one to
vote. Exactly. You got it.
All right. Carmichael, thanks so much for joining us today.
You bet.
All right. Up next, Katz and Cosby in New York City. They've got a lot to talk about grocery stores. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Our website, TennesseeStar.com. We will be back tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Tomorrow afternoon. I did it again. The overedit. We'll be back tomorrow afternoon, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Have a great day.